Good morning, grade 7 students. I am teacher Jennifer, and together with my co-teachers, teacher Alpha and teacher Jana, we will be talking about the colorful world of figures of speech. Now, before I start with the lesson, do you have any idea or what figures of speech are? Do you? You can write it your answers on the comment box, or you can just give me a thumbs up reaction if you have heard the term figures of speech before. Okay, so I see that some of you already have an idea what figures of speech are. Now, there are many types of figures of speech, but for today's lesson we will only be discussing three types. Okay, so these are the Okay, so before we start, I forgot to mention, we have our objectives. Okay, so for the first one, you have the students have to recognize and differentiate a figure of students should analyze the impact of figures of speech on communication. Okay, so here is the definition of figures of speech. So the figures of speech is any intentional deviation from a literal statement or common usage that emphasizes or clarifies or embellishes both written and spoken languages. It forms an integral part of language. Figures of speech are found in oral literature as well as polished poetry, prose, and in everyday speech. Okay. So for today's lesson, we will be discussing the three types of figures of speech, which are the irony, oxymoron, and paradox. Okay, now to start, we have irony. So, to read to you the definition of irony, so irony involves a contradiction between appearance and reality, often leading to unexpected outcomes. So, irony, it means ironic. You are being ironic. So, here I have an example. The police station was robbed. Hmm, it is a police station, yet it was robbed. So that is how irony works. That is how irony works. It gives a contradiction between appearances and reality. So, in the given example, it is a police station where you will expect a lot of policemen guiding the establishment, yet it was still robbed. Okay, now, did you get what irony is? Now, give me a heart reaction if you did. Okay. Okay, so I think you already have an idea what irony is. Now, type of figures of speech which will be discussed by my co-teacher.
Okay, thank you, Ma'am Jennifer. So moving on with oxymoron, which is a figure of speech. Okay, so when we say oxymoron, it is a figure of speech that combines two seemingly contradictory words to convey a powerful and evocative meaning. So example, we can see in the screen it's deafening silence. So in the phrase deafening, it typically describes a loud and overwhelming sound, while the word silence, it refers to the absence of sound. So together, they create a paradoxical expression. So did you get what oxymoron is? Please give me thumbs up. Okay, thank you, students. Moving on to the last figure of speech, may I call on Ma'am Jana to say something about it? Ma'am Jana?
Thank you, Ma'am Alpha. So I'm going to discuss about paradox. So paradox presents a self-contradictory statement that may reveal a deeper truth. A classic example is less is more.
Alright, so there goes the three types of figures of speech. But of course, that's not the only type. And we will be discussing the other types in our next meeting. Now, do you have any clarifications about our lesson? No? Thumbs up if you don't, thumbs down if you have. Come on, guys. Do you have any question? Okay, I see that you don't have any question. Now, if you don't have any more question, are you ready for our activity for today? Okay, okay, I see that you are. Okay, so this game is called the Pick to Phrase Challenge. So for the mechanics of this game, you have you have to complete the in the blanks, and you will also have to identify the figure of speech being represented in the given phrases. Now, did you get the mechanics of the game? All right. Now for our first. Okay, so there you go. What do you think is this phrase about, or and what do you think is the figure of speech being represented by this phrase?
The food was really good.
No, fortunately, it's not. Try to observe the picture. Yes, Miss Faye?
The food was awfully good.
That's right. And what do you think is the figure of speech being represented by this phrase? Yes, Miss Alpha? Miss
Mom, I
Faye?
think it's oxymoron.
Can you repeat that?
Mom, the
Yes.
answer is oxymoron.
That's right. Now give a hand emoji to Miss Alpha and Miss Faye. Very good. Yes, that's right. So it's an oxymoron, and the phrase is the food was awfully good. Okay, so very good, everyone. Now let's move on to our next, picture. There you go. What do you think is the phrase, and what figure of speech is used? Yes, Miss Jana.
The fire station is burning down.
Yes, that's right. And what do you think is a figure of speech being represented in this phrase? Yes, Miss Faye.
Ma'am, I think it's irony.
Yes, that's right. It is an irony. Okay. So, why is it an irony? Well, it's ironic because it's a fire station, yet it is the one burning down. All right. So, let's move on to another picture. How about this one? What do you think is the phrase, and what do you think is the figure of speech being represented? Yes, Miss Faye again?
The beginning of the end, ma'am.
Yes, that's right. And what do you think is the figure of speech being represented? Yes, Miss Alpha?
Ma'am, I'm sure it's paradox.
Mm, that's right. It is a paradox. How about this one? What do you think is the phrase? Yes, Miss Faye?
Ma'am, I think it's a silent scream is the loudest.
That's right. So a silent scream is the loudest. And what do you think is a figure of speech being represented in this phrase? Yes, Miss Faye?
I think it's paradox.
Mm, is it? Let's see. It's actually an oxymoron. Okay, so why do you think why is it an oxymoron? Well, because it's a silent scream. So you get the idea that a silent scream is the loudest. So it says silent scream. All right. Now, how about this one? Yes, Miss Jana.
Wasting money by consuming it.
Not really. Close. Yes, Miss Sarah.
Mom spending money by saving it.
Yes. And what do you think is the figure of speech being represented?
Mom paradox.
Yes, that's right. And why do you think it's a paradox?
Mom, because you cannot spend money by saving it in reality, because spending and saving is a two contradictory words.
Very good, Miss Sarah. Okay. Now, let's have the yes, yeah. Save money by spending it. And now, and that ends our activity. And for the okay, so let me ask you, do you have any more question about about the activity or about our lesson? None. All right. So, do you now have an idea about the differences of oxymoron, irony, and paradox? All right. So you did. Okay. So I'm glad that you all participated in the game, and I took note of your participation, and you will be scored based on of course, your participation. All right. So for our next lesson, which will be next week, we will be talking about the other three types of figure of speech, which is simile, metaphor, and personification. All right. So if you don't have any more question, can you give me a clap reaction? Okay. All right. So if you don't have any more question, this will end our lesson. Okay. See you next week for our next discussion. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye and thank you, Mom.
So good morning, class. Good morning, ma'am. So how are you doing today? Are you all doing great? Good? Yes, ma'am. So who can tell me what our lesson is about last meeting? Miss Giselle, go.
We talked about oxymoron, paradox, and irony.
Yes, that's right. So we talked about the figures of speech, which is the irony, oxymoron, and paradox. Now, Miss Jana, can you tell me what paradox is?
A paradox is a statement or situation that may be true but seems impossible or difficult to understand because it contains two opposite facts or characteristics.
Yes, that's right. And how about oxymoron? Can you tell me what an oxymoron is, Miss Sarah?
Oxymoron is a figure of speech that combines two seemingly contradictory words to convey a powerful and emotive meaning.
Yes, that's right. And for the last one, we have irony. So irony is the expression of one's meaning by using language that normally opposite. It is typically humorous or authentic. Okay, so do you have any question about our last topic? Okay, so today we are going to yet again explore the fascinating world of figures of speech. So last meeting we discussed about the three types of figures of speech. So today we are going to again discuss the other three types of figures of speech, which are the simile, metaphor, and personification. So may I ask you, have you already encountered these words, or do you have an idea what these words mean? Yes. All right. So you already have an idea about simile, metaphor, and personification. And to delve deeper into these speeches, we are going to discuss it deeper. And may I call on my co-teacher Alpha to discuss what simile is.
Thank you, Ma'am Jennifer. So moving on with our topic, simile. So simile is part of figure of speech that involves comparing two unlike things like the word like and as to highlight the similarity between them. So how are we going to create a sentence using simile? So of course we also have to use the word like and as. So when using the word like, it should be noun or pronoun plus the verb or adjective, or it can be a verb plus the word like and plus noun. And when using the word as, it should be noun or pronoun plus the word as plus adjective or adverb plus as and plus noun. So for us to better understand what simile is, here is an example. So the night sky was dark as coal, with stars twinkling like diamond. So in this example, simile compares the darkness of the night sky to the color of coal, and it lightens the star's brightness of the sparkle of diamond. So the use of as establishes the simile. So moving on with our next topic, which is the metaphor. May I call Ma'am Jana to continue our lesson.
Okay, thank you, Miss Alpha. Let me discuss to you a metaphor. A metaphor is the direct comparison of two unlike things, and it is figures of speech that describes an object or action in a way that isn't literally true but helps explain an idea or make a comparison.
Okay, so do you have any question about metaphor? No? Okay, good. Okay, so now let's move on with our next figure of speech, which is personification. Do you have any idea what personification is? No. Alright, so personification is the act of attributing personal characteristics or human characteristics to non-human entities, or it is the representation of an abstract quality in human form. So you see, you have here an example. The sun was shining and the wind is blowing. So if we will put a human characteristics to the sun, it won't be, we can replace the shining as smiling. So what we did is we put a human characteristic which is smiling to the sun. So the sun was smiling. Okay, so next we have the wind is blowing. Instead of blowing, what human characteristic can you give to the wind to upgrade this sentence or make it more colorful or exciting? Can you think? Yes, Miss Sarah? Yes, that's very good. So instead of saying the wind is blowing, we can say that the wind is whistling. Very good. Okay, so do you have any question about the simile, metaphor, and personification? None, ma'am. Okay, so are you ready for your activity? Yes, ma'am. All right. Okay, so you don't have any more questions? Okay, so if you don't, we'll proceed to our activity, which is called the Wheel of page. And if you notice, we have here a wheel. So in the mechanics of this game will be, you will, each of you will come in front and spin the wheel. So whichever figure of speech the arrow will point into, you will identify that figure of speech from the given phrases in front. Okay, so do you want me to give you an example?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's spin the wheel. Simile. So I will go in front and try to identify where the simile is. Let's see. Okay, so number six. Number six. I know this by the back of my hand. So Miss Alpha, can you? Am I right? Simile! Perfect! Okay, so did you understand the mechanics of the game?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so can I call you in front and line up, please? Go. You will identify. It's in between. You can spin again. Simile. Go.
Sentence number 1. I feel like the luckiest person in the world.
Really?
Yes! 10 points! 10 points! Okay.
You will have 3 rounds.
It's between metaphor and simile. You take okay. Simile again. You identify where is simile again.
Take your time.
Number 12.
Number 12. Are you sure?
Yes.
Alright, let's see. If you got this wrong, you will dance.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is it simile?
Yes.
Saya? Okay, so let's have another round. Okay, personification. Please go.
Sentence number 8.
Sentence number 8.
If it's wrong, you will dance.
Okay, go. Yes,
It's
you're
correct. It's
right.
personification. Another 10 points to Miss Giselle.
Okay. You can spin again, or it's metaphor.
Okay. So please feel free to choose sentences from our
Number 3.
Okay, number 3. Life is a roller coaster going up and down. Go, Miss Mademoiselle.
Okay, but first, why do you think it is a?
Ma'am, because the sentence is comparing life directly to a roller coaster.
Yes. Yes.
Metaphor.
Perfect. So let's have the last round. Oh, personification. Can do it.
Sentence number 7.
Sentence number 7. Are you right? So the curtains dance to the rhythm of the breeze. Why do you think so?
Because curtains can dance.
Yes. So.
Okay? Let's see if your answer is correct. Personification. Very good. You got perfect.
Last round, Miss Sarah.
eight sentences left.
You can do it.
For the prize.
Number 5.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Can you read the sentence?
Before I knew it, it was midnight. Time had crept up on me. And it's like it's correct.
Is it? Yes. Very good. Another perfect score.
Okay, very good everyone. You may now take the seat. Okay, so based from the activity, it seems like you already have an idea about the three figures of speech, which are metaphor, irony, and personification. Metaphor. Okay, so do you have any more clarification about our discussion?
None.
Are you sure?
Yes, ma'am.
So to end this lesson, I have here a quotation. So figures of speech are the best expression of the greatest thoughts in the shortest words by Augustus Williams Hare. And with that, our lesson ends. See you next week. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye and thank you, ma'am.
Bye.
To achieve this objective, the gamified assessment offers students an interactive experience where they engage with visual cues and contextual challenges. By associating images with figures of speech or spinning a wheel to identify them in phrases, students strengthen their ability to recognize and differentiate between irony, oxymoron, paradox, metaphor, simile, and personification. These activities make learning more dynamic and enjoyable, helping students build a solid foundation in recognizing various figures of speech. The gamified assessment encourages students to apply their knowledge in real-world contexts, whether completing phrases based on visual cues in the pick-to-phrase challenge or quickly identifying figures of speech with the spinning wheel in the wheel of speech. Students are prompted to use what they've learned in different situations. This hands-on approach enhances their understanding of how figure of speech work in varied contexts, making the learning experience practical and engaging. Through the gamified assessments, students not only identify figures of speech but also engage in critical analysis. In the Pick to Phrase challenge, they think deeply about the impact of figures like irony, oxymoron, and paradox on communication by completing phrases with missing words. Similarly, in the Wheel of Speech, the spontaneous identification of figures prompts discussion, fostering a deeper understanding of their contribution to language. These activities cultivate students' ability to critically analyze how figures of speech enhance communication in various scenarios.